Hello, this is Lawrence Romanowski from Porsche Center Calgary, and this is another installment of a series of videos that I've been doing to try to document the differences in Porsche options, trims, color, etc. And it brings us to one of our coolest cars that we've ever ordered. This is a 2014 C4S Cabriolet. At the beginning of the season, and now it's the start of the 2014 model year, even though it's September, we try to order some, let's call them signature cars or special cars, and dig into the option list and come up with some really kind of interesting cars. And we can't do every car like that because anybody who's used the Porsche car configurator has found out it adds up pretty quickly, and all our cars can't be $200,000 anyway. But we can have some fun at the beginning of the season, and we can order some neat stuff. And I just wanted to document this particular car as one of these examples. Firstly, it's a straight black and not metallic black. It has the Sport Design package, which I think we showed you before, which is this Sport Design front apron, which is available separately, and the ducktail, which is of course reminiscent of the Carrera RS. We also did the same thing with this white car, and you can see that this of course is a coupe. This is a 2S, and the 2S has individual rear lamps. The 4S has that great bar, which looks super cool at night when it lights up all the LEDs. In a 2S you can get clear lights, but in a 4S it's all red. So that's the difference there. Also, a careful eye would notice that you can get different ride heights on these cars, which is good depending on what you're good and bad, depending on what your lower ride height is good or bad, depending on what you're going to do with a car. This C2S we optimized for performance, and it's got the PASM Sport suspension. It's 20 millimeters lower than the regular car. We've got torque vectoring. We've got a sport exhaust. This is a rear-wheel drive car, so it moves around on you. The purpose of the way we ordered this car was for the performance enthusiast who wants rear-wheel drive handling. This one's a little bit different. This car is more about, it's a cabriolet, not a coupe. So this car, and we ordered it with a lot of the luxury fittings. Because we went on that direction, we didn't necessarily want it to be to change the ride height on the car, which would make it a little bit less easy to navigate city streets, etc. Okay. Plus it's four-wheel drive, and this one's two-wheel drive. So this car also has the Sport Design wheels, which would normally have a polished outer surface and a lighter gray painted inset, but these ones were color matched to the car. So they can be color matched to the car, in this case black, or they can be painted black. So you could have a white car and you could paint the wheels black, but if the car was red, you could also have the inserts painted to match the car. So you'd have red wheels and a red car. Okay, now the standard light looks like that, and it looks fine. No reason to change that, but this light is, I don't know if you can see that, is black. So I guess the top of the projector, you can see that is black, and the top of the projector here is chrome. So the idea for this car would be to black everything out and kind of make it look, a little bit stealthier. It's an S, so it gets the red calipers, and you can see those in the discs. And the red calipers kind of go nicely with the red taillight treatments. But it's the inside of this car that's really kind of special. So just try to focus in on that. Sorry, my camera doesn't do this for me automatically. Okay, so we can see it's a black interior with lots of red highlights. So we can go through those. Most obvious You know, it's got the red dials, and the camera makes it look a little bit brighter than it actually is. In real life, it's toned down slightly. We have the Sport Chrono package, which among other powertrain and electronic differences gives you that stopwatch. We have these fancy mats that are leather edged. You can see that this is the 18-way seat, and it's the Sport Seat Plus because it has these wings on the back, and there's 18-way. Now we did, I think I did a whole thing just on seats. If it didn't have these two buttons for the lumbar, then it would be a 14-way seat, and then it wouldn't come with these wings. Okay, so, but I think we did another video of that altogether, so I won't dwell on it. And then you can see that it's got some highlighted red stitching. Now, if you go and buy a Bentley or an Aston Martin or Ferrari, you get leather dashboards and hand stitching and so forth. And I can actually show you, we have an Aston in the DBS in the showroom right now, I can show you that. So you can think of this as, as a 911 that has, a Bentley-esque or an Aston Martin-esque interior. And you can think of it that way if you like. Those cars cost twice as much, at least the ones that are outfitted like this. And I think I can show you, if I show you this DBS, that actually this stitching is more intricate and a little bit nicer. So with those cars, when you order them, you just sort of do contrast stitching, and the whole thing is contrast stitch, and they kind of decide that for you. With Porsche, it's a little bit more complicated than that, and it's not on the car configurator, and you have to do each piece individually. So we've got the door top that is got the contrast stitch on it. Sorry for focusing. We have the inner door panel, which has contrast stitching. We have the door handle, which is contrast stitching, and we have the armrest, which is contrast stitching. So that's like $450 times 4 pieces for doors. So it's like $2,000 if you want your doors to look like that. Now, the car has the full leather interior, and that gives you, doesn't give you contrast stitching, but it gives you the leather dash top and the leather door top, and it also gives you this piece of trim there. If it was a standard car, you wouldn't get that piece of trim. And it would come standard in polished aluminum like this car, but this car is optional carbon fiber, but you can get brushed aluminum and you can get painted to match the exterior, etc. Okay, so this one's got the carbon fiber trim there, and then that would carry through to, you can see that on the dash, and you can see that around the rest of the interior. Okay, so the leather interior is an extra $4,000. These seats are an extra $4,000. The standard seat backs are gray plastic. For $2,000, you get leather seat backs. Don't normally order leather seat backs on the coupes, because if you look at the coupe, you don't really see it. Open this up for you. So that is the standard back right there. And if I ordered a silver cab or a gray cab, I might leave it. I think you can see, if you were looking at this car from the rear, that gray back might stand out, I think. And so I'd either want to cover it with leather or paint it, but for some reason I can't figure out how to. I'm sure there's a way to get them painted. Okay, so hello. Hi there. So continuing inside, we can go through some of the other options, and they include the contrast stitch on the steering wheel, which is, I'm looking at my price sheet here, and let's just say it's one of those if you have to ask You're not going to get it. I think it's about $1,100. And the gauges are red. The face of the Sport Chrono is red. We have like I said, the 4 different stitch options on the door. We have the stitching on the seat. We have in the rear, you can get this piece in leather. It doesn't normally come in leather, and you can stitch it. Also, the upper panel in the rear, upper side panel in the rear is stitched. It doesn't normally come like that. This car has red belts as well, and you get the fancy floor mats in the back. This car also has the Porsche crests in the headrest. When you order the carbon trim, it asks you whether you want a leather center console or carbon fiber center console. So this case we did carbon fiber, and if you walk around, one of the coolest and cheapest option, I think it is the cheapest option that you can get for this car, is a fire extinguisher, which is red. So we ordered the red fire extinguisher to match the cars. Something else that I wanted to try would be the leather air vent surrounds, which is this detail right there. And I think it's also really expensive. I don't even want to tell you, but it does look pretty cool. And in addition, you could get these air vent slats leather with contrast stitching, but I kind of drew the line there. I just wanted some leather or some red highlights, not necessarily not too much. And one of the other options was the steering column casing in leather. So that normally comes in plastic. So that's kind of a cool touch as well, especially when it goes with the air vents in leather as well. Now, I realize that there are people out there who are going to think that that is a perfectly acceptable air vent and you don't need to spend $1,700 covering it with leather. And I do understand that. And of course, the vast majority of our cars don't have that. Also, there are people out there who think that that is a perfectly acceptable steering column and it doesn't need to be leather either. But, it depends. If you're, you want the ultimate, you want to personalize your car, then do it. If you're used to Ferraris and, and Bentleys and Astons, and you're like tired of the service or the hoops they get you to drive through or jump through or whatever, and you want a Porsche because it's like a better car, but you still want an Aston or a Bentley interior, well then you can do it. And still, but you can totally go to town, and at the end of the day, your car still isn't going to be anywhere near as expensive as something like that. One of one, I'm sure. I got lots of help with Porsche Canada and PCL to make sure it all came out right, and we're extremely happy with it. So it is Porsche Center Calgary, and it's about $185,000. And very pleased to show it to you, and we're hoping that we can keep it in the showroom for a while, and if nothing else, sell a bunch of stitching, even if it's not quite as far as this car on everything else. Thank you very much. Lawrence Romanowski from Calgary, Canada.